All right, here we go. Sorry, folks, been having a little technical difficulty, but we currently have a power in our hands that a lot of us have no idea of. As I go in and do something real quick, we have the power at our fingertips to conduct a Republican form of government where we have the ability to endorse one another in such a way that builds the value on our electoral power and exponentiates it. Here's what I mean. And this is not my teaching, this is my learning and sharing. So we it takes 500 people to elect something into play. Okay. Now we usually use the word vote, but it's not voting or the voltage that gets this energy to move. It's the electing or the electricity. Okay. Now in the description of this video, I put a few links. I put a link to this letter that I'm about to read you that I wrote for us, and a couple links from the chief federal postal court judge from some videos of his where he explains, number one, how we have the ability to conduct this Republican style of government, and also another video of his where he breaks down and explains planned engineered obsolescence. Here's what that is. The corporations we buy stuff from. You buy a car, you buy a bike, you buy whatever. They engineer intentional failure into the products. Here's what that does for you. That means that sooner than you would have wanted to, you're going to need to pay for repairs, or you might need to pay for replacements. So if I sell you something, I sell you a phone. I sell you a phone. Now, I know that in selling you this phone, before it gets in your hands, I've designed certain functions in this phone to mess up on purpose. Like I designed some defectivity in this phone, so in a certain time frame, you'll be saying, "Hey, man, my phone doesn't do this or that anymore. Like my screen is darker. It doesn't get as bright as it used to, or it moves so slow now. I need to get a faster phone. I wish they would put some 7G up out here." So they engineer intentionally to make the products fail. But here's what a lot of us don't realize, in which the chief federal postal court judge, Mark Foucault and Mark hyphen Keyshawn Foucault and Christopher broke down, is that this intentional designed failure, it spills over from just being done to the products that we buy, and the corporations and the manufacturers have figured out how to use their technologies to design ways that make us fail. And when I heard that, I already knew that was in the game, but I saw a movie. It was called Equilibrium. The lead actor is Christian Bale, and it's set in what seems to be a futuristic time, but nothing too far ahead. But society is definitely not what we see it as today. And you're gonna see a lot of movies, if you're paying attention, that show our world around us ahead of now, like in future time, being a lot less populated, having a lot more scarcity. Now, of course, we know, those of us who do, the powers that be, they paint for us one picture when really the reality is something else. But in designing the engineered failure, so I saw this movie, Equilibrium, and in this future time, which is not, again, it's not set far in the future. I don't recall like what the year was in the movie, but every morning in this society, which is a very cold-hearted society, like emotion is not something that people share, or feelings. That's actually a better word. They don't share feelings, okay? So Christian Bale is like one of the head police kind of guys in the society. Got a couple of kids, a son and a daughter, got a wife. Nobody shares feelings. And so the reason is because every morning in the society, the people are required to get up and inject themselves, and I think somewhere in the neck, I don't recall exactly how they did it, but they inject themselves with a dose of some type of engineered medicine. I'm saying medicine, but I wouldn't call it like when I say medicine, I think of something that's helpful. But this is more like it disconnects you from any sensitivity whatsoever. Like you can watch like somebody's kid having their skin pulled off, and you're like, man, that baby should have been in the house. And then you go back to doing whatever you're doing. So every morning they take a dose of this stuff, and it keeps the entire society from having any feeling at all. And so at a certain point, his partner, who's also, a pretty raw cop in the movie, supposed to be, he stops taking his dosage. He starts wanting to do things like read books. Like, you want to read books? We don't read books. So he's like, and he's hiding this. Like, this is a society where they're taking the books. You know what I'm saying? They don't want anybody reading books. Kindle. Like today we have there's tablets called Kindle, and you can get a digital book, but don't you burn things when you Kindle them, like kindling wood? Anyway, if 23 of us can work together, 23 of us can create the electricity we need to ban whatever it is we want. Whatever is jacked up on planet Earth, we want to ban it. 23 people can do it. So let's see. I'm going to let the Chief Federal Postal Court Judge break it down for you a little bit.
Hello and welcome, ladies.
Pardon. Close that. Okay. I'm going to let him break it down. So he did a video prior to this video where he talked about how we have the power through the comment section on our social media, right? So the comment section under this video, or it could be any other video. The chat section, there's no power there, okay? That's for the chattering masses. The comment section is where we have power at. And we can work together with people around the world and say, hey, you know what? I think this sucks, whatever it is, and I think we should ban it. If you're with me, thumb up my video, put a comment on here saying that you feel the same way and you want to ban whatever this is. Thumb up your video. I'll come behind and thumb up all of your videos, and I'll leave comments on those. And then if 23 of us do this, so 23 of us will thumb up 22 other people's comments. We'll leave a comment endorsing their election. So now if you make a comment, whoever that one person is watching right now, you make a comment under the video and say, hey, Weave, after hearing you read this letter, after clicking in the link in the description and going and seeing the letter myself and reading it with my own eyes and taking a moment to really sink this in, I'm down with this. I think we should ban this, whatever it is, okay? So I'm going to thumb up your video, Weave. I'm going to leave a comment saying, hey, I am so-and-so, and I want this banned as well. Cat Brown. What's up, Cat Brown? Thanks for tuning in. Cat Brown says, hey, Weave, it makes a lot of sense. I elect to also ban this thing, okay? So, Cat Brown, you're going to leave a comment under the video after you thumb up my comment, or, it doesn't have to be in that order. I'm going to read your comment where you say, hey, yeah, I'm down with that. And then I'm going to endorse your comment and say, hey, I endorse this election as well. I'm with that. She's with this, I'm with that. And then the third person comes on and says, hey, I see you guys are trying to get this banned. It makes perfect sense to me. I'm with that. Then you thumb up my video, and then you leave a comment, thumb up your video. Don't forget that. I'm going to thumb up all your videos. I'm going to leave a comment on your comments. You guys are going to leave comments on each other's comments, and together we're enacting. We are participating together in Republican form of style of government where we, the people, work together. We exponentiate each other's electoral power. So your one election with my endorsement and her endorsement and his endorsement and their endorsements just gained all that much more magnitude because of the endorsement of the other people. Okay, so I'm going to read this letter that I wrote so that we can work together to ban planned engineered obsolescence. If you sell me a microphone and then you design in this microphone that, 2-3 years down the line, the mechanism inside of it that actually lets it hear my voice and pick this up, you design it to fail. Well, now I got a pretty microphone structure, but the innards have just lost a lot of value because all it can do now is be used as a paperweight or, just a flashy little desktop item. So for the election of the planned engineered obsolescence ban, I'm gonna read this letter. And if that's still Cat Brown, thanks for being here. Dear Mark, as I address this to the Chief Federal Post Court Judge, to help rid men and women worldwide of the malicious corporate practice of planned engineered obsolescence, and to remove the ability of companies to siphon finance from the people through the back-end expenses of this hideous mechanism, I'm bringing forth the following reasoning to promote the banning of this fraudulent corporate tactic. 1, hoodwinks and swindles, which you'll find in the United States Code, Title 18, which has to do with crimes and criminal procedure. Manufacturers and corporations promote the quality and craftsmanship of their products and brands as top quality and long-lasting, building compromised company repute by painting for these products an image in the minds of men and women as holding a certain level of value and integrity, which enables corporations to fetch the asking prices for the products they market to people worldwide, but all done behind the veil of omission, keeping the people oblivious to their intentional corporate schemes of planned engineered obsolescence by their willful negligence of disclosing to consumers the built-in features of designed product failure in the products they sell, which voids corporate quality claims as oxymoronic, thus incredible and void. Ab initio, off top. You didn't tell me this off top? Then that's non-disclosure. 2, the corrupt bargain. Due to corporate non-disclosure, men and women unknowingly purchased compromised goods under the guise of integrity. And as the fruit of a poisonous tree, each sale closed by these means becomes a corrupt bargain against the men and women purchasing said products. And done on a global scale, this becomes a detriment to the financial security of mankind. You got us all coming out the pocket, paying extra money for repairs, having to replace stuff. How come when this phone came out, this phone comes out 2 years ago, and in this short time, it starts to be defective. I need a new phone. Oh, we got a new G up there. It was 3G, then it was 4G. There's a new G up there. Soon there'll be a few more Gs. And shout out to all the real Gs. But of course, I'm being silly. But if you're going to keep raping the people, you're designing rape into your products. You're designing a way to attach to our pockets. Hey, you're cool. You got your Mercedes, nice, big car. But I'm not saying that they do this per se, but they're a corporation. You buy yourself a nice Benz or whatever car you want to imagine, and a couple years down the line, you're having problems with some part of the system, or the window stopped rolling all the way up and down. I can only roll it down halfway, and then I got to roll it back up again. Whatever it is, it's designed and it's hurting us. 3, needless expense. The front-end sale of compromised goods by omissive covert advertising and non-disclosure causes on the back end for the people making such purchases needless repairs and maintenance issues at the expense of consumers, men and women, in the forms of 1, downtime from the ability to enjoy said goods. 2, draining of finance in paying for needless repair or replacement of said goods, either in whole or in part. 3, longevity limitations, removing from consumers their ability to pass down said goods in legacy for the enjoyment and use of their heirs. 4, the opportunity cost of having to deal with these issues due to purchase from one fraudulent company when they could have purchased from another company a similar product, void of such intentional design flaws, which they reasonably would have done with true and accurate disclosure up front. If you knew you were buying something and you're paying, a pretty penny for it, and you knew that it would start to tap out on you, a short time later, would you have still bought that product, or would you may have looked at what some of their competitors had to offer and chose one of those? That's what I would have did. Well, of course, that calls for speculation. But now that I know about this, if I know that, period. If I knew up front that it was going to fall apart later, I'm not buying the fall apart later. 4, slavery by non-disclosure. With designed product failure woven into the schematics of the products we purchase being undisclosed to we, the consumer public, we make unknowing agreement to be subject to subsequent repair and replacement needs that cost us men and women financially, among other ways, for which our consent cannot truly be considered attained, since it was gained without proper knowledge, and as any forced or fraudulent contract is ailing and alludes to slavery, the manufacturers and corporations practicing planned engineered obsolescence without disclosing such are enslaving oblivious purchasers by enticing them into slave contract sales that will lead to their financial detriment on the back end. And slavery in any form is a crime against mankind, punishable by death. I'm just saying. 5, treason by cannibalism. By way of this mechanism of planned engineered obsolescence, and without the full disclosure of such to the public, by enticement, the manufacturers and corporations lure men and women into purchases that create a raping attachment in the form of back-end expense that becomes necessary to continue enjoyment of these products. So basically, you design your product to fail. Later on, I got to spend more money fixing it, repairing it, so I can keep enjoying it. Or to replace them, which gives the corporations the ability to cannibalize long-term on the finance of the people, who initially patronized the corporations in good faith, which is a treasonous endeavor, certainly worth of penance, which is penalty, even up to a death sentence. 6, void honor. Corporations, though lacking hearts and minds, exist as legal persons, and as such, receiving their life from the energy of the people who work for them and represent them in dealing with men and women of the consumer public. These entities are duty bound, as are the people, to do good business in good faith on a geometric level field, eye to eye, with full disclosure and integrity. However, as perpetrators of secrecy in business, conducting the malicious business practice of planned engineered obsolescence, the manufacturers and corporations skirt the standard of good business and opt rather to racketeer, which voids honorability, and each purchase or agreement struck under these conditions and pretenses is void. So 7, I'm going to give you a recap summary here. The business practice of planned engineered obsolescence, coupled with the non-disclosure thereof to the men and women of the consumer public, is malicious, willful, negligent, omissive misrepresentation as part of the empire of lies, which is intentional, perpetrated fraud and scheming by manufacturers and corporations in contradistinction to the quality claims the corporations make of their products to lure purchase in good faith, but under false pretense, voiding the validity of each and every sale, each of which were perpetrated to cause fraudulent long-term financial attachment for the siphoning of monetary value from the people by forcing needless repairs and or replacements, corrupt bargains that cause a cannibalistic condition of slavery, and ultimate dishonor to mankind. And for my final statement at number 8, for the reasons stated above, and for the benefit of men and women and boys and girls worldwide, mankind as we know it I make the claim that planned engineered obsolescence should be banned on a global scale, and I elect you, Mark Keyshawn Christopher, Christopher, to bring such banning into fruition by way of the 500 electrical votes that we have, hopefully, by the men and women who listen to this video, comment that this makes sense to them. If it does, and you'll notice that as I wrote this, I try to compose it in a way that if we were presenting this in the venue of a court situation, I want it to sound very similar to how it does. With tremendous gratitude, honor, respect, Jonathan-Edward Weaver. That's me. And I authored this letter. So this letter, the Google Drive link to it is in the description of the video. And look, this is how I worded it. If you want to take it and word it and you write your own version of this letter without sounding all, technical, listen, do your thing. This is my rendition. But if 23 of us come together, I should say, leave comments, make comments, endorse each other, we can ban whatever we want. And we got just a few days before a lot of change is going to happen. And if we're going to stave off some of the negatives, it's going to take a team effort. So I'm here to be part of that team and honor my social contract. Planned engineered obsolescence, we need to ban it. And if we work together, we can get that done. So with that said, I'm going to respect everyone's time and the 0 next to the I on the screen. And I'm going to go ahead and tap out here. Peace and love, everybody. Jonathan Weaver is out. Jonathan Edward Weaver.